Hello to you. I do hope you're well, and welcome to this video on getting ready for the new academic year. This is a great time to set new goals, get organised and establish new routines so that you feel ready for the year ahead. Now, there are many different ways that you might be feeling. You might be feeling ambitious, you might be feeling motivated, but you might also be feeling quite nervous, anxious or apprehensive. And it's really important to know that that is very normal and it is okay to be feeling that way, because whenever we do encounter change in our lives, it is natural to feel quite nervous about that. So I want to reassure you that you are going to achieve great things in the year ahead. And one of the best pieces of advice I can give you is to make a plan so that you feel prepared for the year ahead. And that is why we'll be talking through setting goals, getting organised and establishing those new routines so that you can enter the new academic year with confidence and with a determination to make this your best year yet. And I think what you need to do is look at what you've already achieved in education and see that as your evidence that you can and you will achieve great things this year. So take pride in everything you have already achieved and now have confidence in how far you can go, because you have got the strength and the ability to achieve really great things this year. So let's get started with our first step for this year, which is to set your goals for the year ahead. I think it's really important as we begin a new academic year to be really clear about what we want to achieve. So take some time to think about and then establish what you want to achieve this year. So make sure you are being ambitious and that you are aiming for the top. Remember, you have the ability to achieve really great things during your time in education. So when it comes to clarifying and establishing what it is you want to achieve, I think it's really helpful to visualize your end goal. So where is it that you want to be at the end of this year? So for example, you might visualize results day and imagine yourself in the school hall opening that envelope. So take some time to think about what results you want to be achieving and how you want to be feeling on results day. So what grades do you want to achieve? And then what is it you want to then go on to do? And as I say, that can really help you to clarify and establish your goals for the year and make sure you are being ambitious and you are aiming for the top. So do not place any limitations on what you are capable of achieving, because with effort and determination, you can and you will achieve those grade 9s, A stars and great results. So once you have established what you want to achieve this year, my advice would be then to write those goals down, because you can then refer back to them and you can use them to motivate you throughout the year. So they can then serve as a constant reminder of the why behind your work. You know, when you're waking up early in the morning, or you might be doing some revision at the weekend, referring back to your goals helps to keep you committed, it helps to keep you focused, and it helps to keep you going throughout the year. And then you can remind yourself of the purpose and the reason behind all of your hard work, because I think it's really important to think of your hard work as an investment in your future success that will pay off for you on results day and in the years to come. So having those goals written down gives you a really clear focus and a really great reminder that will keep you motivated and committed in the months and then indeed the years ahead. And then if we just think about the ultimate and overall goal behind everything that you'll be doing this year, it is to achieve your very best so that you can go on to live your best life. That is the reason behind everything that we are doing. And I always say to my students, I want you to have all the options available to you. So, you know, strive to get the highest grades and the best results you possibly can, so that you can then go on to do whatever it is you want to do in the future, so that you have got all of those options and those opportunities available to you. So you can then go on to live a happy, successful and fulfilling life, whether that is as a lawyer, a doctor, a business owner, a teacher, a TV presenter, a personal trainer, whatever whatever it is that you want to go on to do, make sure you're able to do that. And the way in which you can make sure you can do that is to get the best grades you possibly can, because they will then open doors and unlock opportunities. So yes, make it your mission to achieve your best so that you can go on to live your best life, because with commitment, effort and determination, you can and will achieve your goals. And you won't just actually achieve them, you will then go on to exceed them. So that is the first thing I want you to do at the start of this academic year. It is to set your goals for the year ahead and then write them down so that they can be your constant reminder of what it is you are working towards. Our second step then is to get organised. And this is such a really important thing, especially when you are studying at GCSE or A Level, because of course you will be studying for multiple different subjects over the year ahead. So it's really important that you get organised so you've got everything in the right place and you know what is going on, because that will really help you to achieve your best in each of your subjects and in every exam paper that you sit. And this time of year is a really great opportunity to get organised, because of course when we walk into the supermarkets, they have got all of the stationery on the shelves. So spend a bit of time shopping for stationery. It's personally one of my favourite things to do. And make sure you've got all of the resources you need to achieve great things in the year ahead. So let's start with the basics, shall we? Make sure that you've got yourself a pencil case. You might want to get a clear pencil case because this is what you will need for your exams. So they are really easy to buy, they're really affordable, and they're really helpful to have because, as I say, you will need this anyway when we get to your exams at the end of the course. And then in terms of what you're putting in your pencil case, make sure, first of all, you have got your pens. There are so many different types, lots of different brands. As you can see, I have gone a bit overboard in Tesco, but here we are. It is really helpful to have spares as well. So make sure that you've got a few spares with you just in case one of your pens does run out. You also want to have in there your pencils, your ruler, sharpener, eraser. I would then also recommend getting some highlighters. And again, there are lots of different brands, lots of different varieties. These are going to be really helpful when you are highlighting important information. For example, if you are highlighting a heading, if you want to highlight a key quote or a key piece of information, or when you're revising, highlighters are great when you are going through your revision checklist, because you can then highlight topics that you want to focus on as part of your revision. So they are really great, as their name suggests, for highlighting key information and drawing your attention to something within your work. So they're always really handy to have. And another example I've just thought of is in English as well. You might be highlighting and annotating a text. So make sure you've got your highlighters. Another great resource to have are some flashcards. And again, you can get them from any supermarket. You can order them online as well. They are going to be particularly helpful when it comes to your revision because they are great for doing what we call retrieval practice. And that is where you will write a question on the front and then you will write the answer on the back. So you can then regularly test yourself about the different topics you are studying. And you will then be able to go back to your flashcards and repeatedly test and quiz yourself, which will really help you to strengthen your knowledge and your memory of the topics ahead of the exam. So really handy to have flashcards because then you can use them for every subject as part of your revision in terms of doing that retrieval practice that we know is one of the most effective ways of revising and securing the information into your long-term memory. Another essential I would be purchasing are some post-it notes. And these are really handy for writing down a short summary of a page in the textbook. So when you are reading through the textbook, there's obviously a lot of information there. So one thing I recommend to my students is to then get a post-it note and summarize in a few bullet points the key information from that page of the book. So when you are then looking back through, you've got a really clear summary of the key information you need. You can also use them for drawing attention to things. For example, you might write your definitions on a post-it note, or you might write down key quotes on a post-it note as well. So quite like highlighters, they help you to draw attention to important information. They're also great if you're using them as a page marker in a book. So you've got an important page in a textbook, or you've found that you want to go back to a certain section of a book later on. You can then just put a post-it note there, and that will make sure you don't lose your place. They're also great if you want to write down a quick to-do list and stick it on your desk, because you can just quickly jot what you need to do on the post-it note and then tick it off once you have completed it. And just on that note, I also think getting a to-do list is also quite a helpful thing to do, because that really helps you to keep organised when you are thinking about your daily priorities and any deadlines you need to meet that day. It can be really handy to have a to-do list, so you can write down what you need to do, and then it's quite satisfying to tick each thing off once you have completed it. What else do we need then? Well, it's always helpful to have a folder for each of your subjects. As I mentioned a moment ago, when you are studying GCSEs or A Levels, you are, of course, studying for multiple different subjects. So it's really helpful to have a folder for each of your subjects where you can keep everything you need for that subject. Things like the specification, which is a list of all the topics you need to know for the exam. You might include in there past paper questions, a list of the key words, model answers from the exam board. You might include your knowledge organisers in there, and also any notes on extra research that you've done. So make sure that you've got a folder for each of your subjects that you can then use and refer back to throughout the course, where you'll keep all of the things you need for that subject in one place, rather than looking through all the different sheets of paper you've got at home and trying to find that geography keywords list, because of course you will know that it is in that folder. So, folders, again, another really great investment to make at the start of the academic year. Just a couple more things that I would recommend. I would recommend getting yourself an academic diary, which is, well, it's a diary basically. So it has every day in the diary. And then on each day, I would recommend writing down two things. The first thing is to write down any deadlines that you have got due that day. So, any coursework that's due, any homework due, any tests that you've got on that day. So write them down in your diary so you can see very clearly what is due on that day. I would then also write in your diary, maybe in a different colour, what you need to do on that day. So you've got your deadlines and then your to-do list. And then obviously you can tick each one of those tasks off once you have completed it. And having a diary means that you can really prioritise what you need to be working on, and you can manage your time really effectively. So each day what you need to take into school, and then also what you want to work on when you get home at the end of the day. A final thing would be a calendar as well, because whilst your diary is about your daily tasks, your calendar gives you an overview of the entire month. So that's really helpful to have on your wall, where you can then write down any key dates and deadlines, things like when you've got a certain piece of homework due, when you have got a PE day, so you need to take your PE kit in, when your exams will be. You can write them on your calendar so you can see well in advance what deadlines you have got coming up, and then you can plan your time accordingly. And then one other thing I do in terms of getting organised is actually create a designated space for studying at home. So it might be on your dining room table, it might be in your room, you might put a desk in, and you can then use that as your study space. And that is going to be really helpful when you are studying, when you are revising, and when you are preparing for your exams. And the key with this is to try and make sure it's got minimal distractions. So don't put it right next to the TV if you can help it, and that it is somewhere you can focus, because you want to have a place in your home where you can be productive. And that once you've sat down there, you can do some really focused and high quality work. So make it somewhere that you want to be, and make sure it's somewhere you're not going to be distracted. There are lots of different places. You could also, of course, find maybe the local library where you could do some work, or a coffee shop where you can go and have a drink and do some work as well. But think about where it is that you will be doing all of your homework, your revision, and any other things that you need to be doing, because that will then really help you when you actually start the course in terms of keeping up with any homework that's due and getting any revision done as well. And sort of just to bring this step to a close, it is so important to be getting organised, and it's really important to know this is a skill you can and will develop. So even if you're thinking, well, I'm not the most organised person, do not worry about that at all. It is all about being consistent and keeping yourself on track by writing it down in your diary and managing your time effectively. And talking of being consistent, that brings me on to our third step, and the third thing that I want you to do as we prepare for the new academic year, and that is to establish habits and routines for success. Because when it comes to success, consistency is the key. It was the famous ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle who said, we as humans are what we repeatedly do. He said, excellence is not an act, but a habit. And what he means by that is what we do on a daily basis determines the results that we achieve at the end. So success is the result of having helpful daily habits and a positive daily routine. So what I want you to think about at the start of the academic year is, what are the helpful habits I'm going to implement in my life, and what is my daily routine going to look like? Because as human beings, we absolutely thrive with routine. And so if we put that positive routine in place, that will really help us to achieve great things in the months and the year ahead. So if we just break this down into having habits and then setting up a routine, let's start with habits. Habits are the things that you do every day without thinking. For example, brushing your teeth in the morning. And the thing is with habits, they can either be helpful or unhelpful. So you might be in the habit of waking up in the morning and spending 2 hours scrolling through TikTok before you start your day. And in terms of achieving exam success, that is, of course, going to be an unhelpful habit. So we want to swap that and replace it with a more helpful one. So if we think about when you get in of an evening after school, you might have got in from school and spent 2 hours scrolling through social media. And of course, that would be an unhelpful habit for achieving great results. So we want to replace that with a more helpful one, such as you get in, you take a 20-minute break to catch up on social media and have something to eat, and then you go to your study space and you do 1 hour of focused work. And that would be a really helpful habit, because of course it means you can then do some great studying, you can do some revision, and then you're going to be seeing a really great improvement in your grades. So have a think about if you've got any unhelpful habits in your day and whether you could replace them with more helpful ones. Another one, for example, is that you put your phone onto airplane mode, so you can't then be disturbed by notifications when you are working. Again, it's a really small thing, but it has a really big impact. And one other habit that I would recommend is packing your bag the night before. So rather than running around in the mornings trying to find your books and find where your PE kit's gone, make sure that every evening you spend 5 minutes checking what subject you've got the next day, and then packing your bag accordingly in terms of the correct books, if you need your PE kit, anything that you need. So it's all packed the night before. And so when you wake up in the morning, you've got everything in your bag, and your morning will be as stress-free and straightforward as possible. So again, a really tiny thing to implement that has a really positive impact. And then I mentioned as well routines, didn't I? So routines is basically the schedule that you follow every day. So it's the time you wake up, the time you go to sleep, and everything in between. And as I mentioned, it is really helpful to get into a good routine, because as human beings, we thrive when we have a routine in place. So make sure you create a daily routine that works for you. And the way I like to imagine this, as it's like a pie chart, so that you've got everything that you need to feel happy and healthy within each day. Things like sleep, eating, resting, relaxing, socializing, and of course studying as well. So make sure that within your daily routine, you've got a balance of all the things that you need. And I always think that you can only achieve your best if you are feeling your best. So make sure you are scheduling time for sleep and relaxation, just as much as you are scheduling time for studying and revision. As I say, make sure that your routine works for you and make sure it's got a balance of all the things you need to feel your best. And so that is my third piece of advice for you, to develop those helpful habits and get into that good routine now, because this will set you up for success all year. Remember, as Aristotle said, that excellence is a habit. So one final thing that I would suggest working on is on effort, because it's really important to begin this academic year with a commitment to put 100% effort into everything that you do. And for me, this is the golden rule, that when you are going into school and when you are working at home, you are trying your best. This is something that my mum always said to me when I was studying and doing my exams. She always said that as long as you've tried your best, that is all that matters. So I want you to begin this academic year with a commitment to put in 100% effort into everything that you do, because as Dr. Carol Dweck says in her book on growth mindset, effort is the key to mastery. So to put that another way, hard work pays off. It's really important to see all of that hard work that you're putting in as an investment in your future success. So all that hard work you put in each day will pay off for you on results day. So be proactive, be engaged, participate in lessons, do extra research, ask your teacher questions. Try to be as engaged with your learning and in your lessons as you can. It's all about putting 100% effort in, so that you can make progress and you can achieve your very best at the end of the course. And actually, that is a really important point, that you should be focusing on making progress rather than perfection. You do not need to get everything right. You do not need to get 100% in every piece of work that you do. But what I do think you need to focus on is putting 100% effort in, because every day of hard work will add up over time, and that will result in you achieving really great things. And I think it is important to be really resilient in that you are seeing obstacles as opportunities and you are seeing setbacks as stepping stones. So when you do encounter a challenge or when you do make a mistake, it's about remembering that that is a very human thing to do, and it's actually an important part of the process, and it's an important step on the journey towards success. So don't then give up and think, right, I can't do it, I'm going to quit. Instead, you've got to get to work, in that you're then going to think, right, what can I learn from this setback? How can I use this to help me keep progressing towards my goals? How can I turn this obstacle into an opportunity? And how can I learn from what went wrong here? I'll give you an example. When you get a mock paper back and you're not very happy with the result, you should actually see that as a really positive opportunity, because you can then reflect on it, you can then review it, which means learning from it. So you've then got to think, right, well, did I lose marks because of my content knowledge, or was it due to my exam technique? For example, I ran out of time, or was it a bit of both? And what you can then do is go away and work on that thing. So you can then go and practice your exam technique and develop your exam answers. Or if it's to do with content knowledge, you can then go and fill in any gaps in your knowledge, so that then by the time the real exam comes along, you feel ready and prepared to achieve the best results possible. So always focus on progress, not perfection. Remember, it's not about getting 100% in every test. It's about putting 100% effort into everything that you do. Now, in terms of what you should put your effort into, I think it's important to remember that the focus should be on quality, not quantity. So it's not necessarily the amount of work that you do, but it's the quality of it. So this is particularly important when it comes to revision. It's really important you focus on your high quality and high impact revision techniques that we know will work. So there is no point staying up all night reading through the textbook and highlighting random words. When it comes to revision, we need to make it as active as possible. So I mentioned before with the flashcards and doing retrieval practice. That is a really great thing to be putting effort and energy into, because we know that retrieval practice is one of our high quality and high impact revision techniques. Also really helpful to spend time doing past paper questions, looking through model answers. Also, one of my favorite revision techniques is teaching somebody else the topic. So make sure, as I say, that when it comes to putting effort into things, we are focusing on those high quality and high impact strategies. And we are not wasting our time, but we are using our time in the best way possible. And that then leads me on to the importance of being sustainable in your effort, because we need to see studying as a marathon rather than a sprint, in that we don't want to just be cramming the night before your exam. We want to actually be consistent in putting in that work throughout the course. So that is why it's important to make your approach to studying and revising sustainable. And what I mean by that is you need to make it manageable and make sure that it works for you. So one of our best revision techniques is to do what we call distributed practice. And that is where, instead of cramming the night before, you actually spread out your revision over time. So you are regularly returning to the same topic at regular intervals. So you might do flashcards one week, and then you might come back to it in a couple of weeks and teach someone else the topic. And then a few weeks later, you might do a past paper question on that topic. So as I say, it's about making sure that it is sustainable and that you are putting in that effort over the entire course, rather than trying to cram the night before your exam. As I say, that distributed practice, where it is spaced out over time, is absolutely key for revision. We want to be revisiting the same topic over time, rather than trying to remember everything the night before your exam. And in terms of maintaining your effort throughout the course, it's about reminding yourself of those goals you've set, and it's about reminding yourself that that hard work is an investment. So you are putting in that hard work today because it will pay off for you on results day, because every single day that you work hard will add up and then pay off for you at the end of your course. So keep putting in that hard work and keep making that progress towards your goals. We want you to be achieving your best results so that you can go on to live your best life, whatever that looks like for you. Because at the end of the day, everything that we're doing in school and all that revision you're doing at home is about achieving your best, so that you can go on to great things in the future, and that you can live a happy, successful and fulfilling life. And of course, so you can then make a really positive contribution to the common good of society. So please make sure you try your best so that you can achieve your best. And that does bring today's video to an end. Just to remind you then of those steps I would like to see you taking. Make sure you start by setting your goals for the year ahead. Make sure they're as ambitious as possible. Make sure you then get organised for the year ahead as well, in terms of shopping for stationery and finding that space for studying at home. And then make sure you establish those helpful habits and put that positive daily routine in place as well. And then, of course, we've just concluded by talking about trying your best as an important golden rule throughout your studying. So thank you very much for joining me. You have got what it takes to achieve greatness, not only in education, but also in your life. So believe in yourself. And as I said, take pride in what you've already achieved, and now have confidence in how far you can go. I wish you every success for the academic year ahead, and I hope that you make it your most successful one yet. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Bye-bye.